It is December 18th, 2017. I'm Glenn Rubenstein. This is Wrestling Inc. And we are talking about Monday Night Raw for December 18th. Oh my God. Well, we're on the road to the Rumble. With me as always, Mr. Raj Giri, making a surprise return tonight, and Justin LaBar from Chair Shot Reality. How's it going, guys?
Very good.
Good, man. So Matt texted just a little bit ago. His commission meeting ran long, so he couldn't make it tonight. So I would have, cleaned up a little bit more, but here we are.
What are you gonna do? Put on a sport coat? You got to show off the Wrestling Inc. T-shirt.
Yeah. We trimmed the beard a little bit, but
yeah.
We do these things on video. Oh, could you imagine if it was an audio-only podcast?
Everyone on this podcast now has beards.
It's true.
That's why I'm joining you guys.
Yeah, it's the way to go, man. Don't have time to shave when you're watching all this wrestling.
So the Dollar Shave Club is hasn't sponsored the last few episodes.
It's true.
So
yeah.
Some weeks off.
Give me that incentive to shave again. Man, so tonight, the road to the Rumble. It's happening, folks. As even the blind could see last week, it was announced a triple threat match between Kane, Braun Strowman, and Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship. Tonight, three faced off in the ring. Brock making an early appearance with Paul Heyman. Kurt Angle just calling the match, saying, hey, this is happening. It's true. It's damn true. I'm out of here. What'd you think of that quick opening segment, Justin?
I was fine with it. It was actually probably one of my favorite segments out of the whole night after seeing the 3 hours. It was inevitable. We kind of figured, okay, it's going to be a triple threat after the no contest last week. I've seen a lot of complaints with, first off, I've said this over and over, Braun Strowman to me, for the men, is the top draw to me. He's the guy, when his music hits, I have full attention. I'm hanging on his every moment. He's just such an attraction to me. I know some people are a little, upset that Kane, at his age at this point and what have you, as a part-timer, is being a focal point in a major story now in a major title match for a major pay-per-view. But I just say, look, it's all about building Braun. Okay, and Kane's going to obviously probably take the fall, we assume. I'd rather Kane versus somebody that they actually are building a future to, who could be a worthy opponent to a big Braun Strowman later on. I'd rather feed Kane to Braun than having Braun destroy some of these more current full-time guys. So I'm fine with this. I thought it was well done. I like that they switched it up. And, it could have been we hear Brock's music, but I like the fact that they used Paul Heyman's Ladies and Gentlemen. He came out, interrupted them, and then it's set up for Brock coming out. I thought it was just a nice little, change in detail. We've already heard Braun's music cut in. We've already heard Kane's music cut in. So I like the fact that they utilized Paul Heyman that way. So this was probably one of my more favorite segments of the night.
Raj?
I thought it was good. I didn't find anything wrong with it. I just think years of Heyman talking for Brock has gotten a little old. Like, I feel like he should say something here and there. He can talk. He's done great promos in the past. Mm-hmm. So just always having him doing the full promo, you just know it's coming, and that's what happened. I feel like Braun's lost a little steam the last few weeks. I agree with you. I think Braun is kind of like the top, monster guy, but I feel like he's lost a little steam since they've kind of turned him babyface. I don't know if you guys have noticed that or if that's just me.
I feel like he's got good momentum. I like I think he's got a good pop reaction. I mean, he's a unique kind of babyface. He's not going to be pandering to the crowd, but he's certainly more on the babyface side of the fence. But Raj, you say you're tired of Paul Heyman talking for Brock. Brock does good promos when they can rehearse them and script them and do those, UFC type packages. When Brock has to talk live, it's not very good. I mean, think about when Brock came back in 2012 before they brought Heyman back with him. When Brock when Brock had that feud with Cena, it was abysmal when he opened his mouth.
Right. No, I'm not saying he should do 15-minute segments, but when he's saying, I don't give a shit about your kids, just a couple lines here and there to just, get that final point across. But yeah, I agree. He shouldn't be doing these long scripted promos. But, when they do those short video packages, that's usually him. Like they just kind of tell him what, kind of what direction he just goes off, and he's great in those. So just having a couple sentences here and there, I think he can do it.
They got to get their money's worth more. I mean, I got to think, it's currently 11:20 p.m. Eastern time as we record this. Brock's his flight has to have landed. He should be at home by now. He was there such a brief appearance, I'm sure right out of the building after. They need to get their money's worth a bit more than just have him come in the ring, do an F5, and stand there.
Yeah, I mean, they've got it in his contract. He's got a certain amount of matches he works and a certain amount of Raw appearances. And look, I mean, he has been in the hottest angles this year, I think. I mean, we can talk about this when we talk about, we're going to talk about Wrestler of the Year later, but I think Brock and Braun have been the two hottest characters in WWE when you really think about it, as far as making a difference with their segments and with their matches. I feel like Brock's matches have been the most anticipated and the most talked about this year.
Well, I'm glad you figured too, he was only on for a short time, but in WWE's eyes, they're getting money out of him because they probably filmed a bunch of stuff with him to put together the compilation packages and the promos backstage to use for the next few weeks. So in WWE's mind, they got a lot knocked out.
Yeah, he's not showing up again. Till the go home show for the Rumble.
Yeah, no, he'll be on. He'll be on more in January. Natalie saying she likes Brock, just not as champion. I kind of agree with that. I feel like, just to get it onto Roman and having him beat Brock, just seems like kind of a waste of a year of that title and not having it defended at house shows and not having the occasional world title matches on Raw. So, I agree with that. But I think Brock is such an interesting character that, when his contract's up in April, I definitely hope that he ends up staying.
But to your point, though, him being in these hot angles, do you think that's Brock specifically, or do you think it's the idea of Brock and the expectations that we place on the challenger of saying, okay, maybe AJ could win, maybe Samoa Joe could win, maybe Braun could win, and we're looking at what, granted it takes two to tango in the ring, but it's about what, they bring to the match and then what he reacts to that as opposed to being the driving force in the story.
No, because with anyone else, it wouldn't work the same way.
Yeah.
And no one thought AJ was going to win.
But you know what it's like, though? He's becoming like that final boss. He's becoming, what was the guy's name at the end of Bloodsport? He's becoming that guy he's undefeated. He kills everyone in the ring, and then we need that Frank Dukes-like character that's going to come in there and be the one to take him down. I think that's what we're all waiting for in these matches.
Super Macho Man and Punch Out and that kind of thing.
Yes.
For me with Brock, I've said this over and over. I keep telling people, really enjoy when you watch Brock, because whether it's in April or whether it's in another year from now, whatever, whenever Brock's done with pro wrestling, I think we're gonna miss him when he's gone.
Oh yeah,
he is just so unique, and the fact that he is booked the closest to a real fight, which can present some issues and what have you. But I mean, it's just so fun to watch. I know that he, his average match time for pay-per-views is less than 10 minutes, sometimes closer to 5. But that's what makes it special and unique, is he's one of the few people you can actually do that with. So I look for I didn't think that AJ Styles was gonna win, but I just look forward to seeing Brock in any situation. That's this is so unique. You can't book anybody else like him. And they probably never will have anybody else like him that will cross into the real fighting world with the success that he had. And then, if anybody else left WWE and went and if CM Punk all of a sudden became an MMA stud,
it could happen, man.
Yeah, right. CM Punk's not coming back to pro wrestling, right?
At least not WWE.
Right. He'll be doing the Cody Rhodes Young Bucks.
Right.
But the fact that Brock went to MMA, had such success, came back to WWE, we'll never see something like that again. Somebody that has real legitimacy. I mean, so I don't know. I just enjoy watching Brock. And it might do some things to the title, but I think it gives an opportunity. And we kind of saw this a little bit in the past few weeks, that it lets them shine and highlight the Intercontinental title, despite Roman Reigns not being there.
I agree 100%. I think Brock and Braun this year have been the two most uniquely booked characters. Brock is always, because Brock is one of those cases where less is more. If he was on every week, it wouldn't be as effective. And sure. I think Braun would probably be like that too. They just have this thing where they have to put, you got a 3-hour show, so you have to have him on every week. Broken Matt Hardy, same thing. I think it'll wear itself out sooner than later if they have him on every week. But yeah, I think Brock has been he's, when you really think about it, the stuff he did with Braun Strowman, the stuff he did with Samoa Joe, it was pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. Those were some of the highlights in WWE of the year, and his match with AJ.
And the numbers prove it. Every time he's on a show, especially when he's wrestling, the viewer, there's more social media buzz. Even though WWE doesn't release the network numbers, I'm sure more people are tuning in. Live gates when he happens to do these random house shows are up. I mean, regardless of people's opinions of how he, what he does or doesn't do to the title, he draws money. He draws.
Yeah. Well, the Rumble triple threat. Kane eats the pin, right? We're all in agreement on that.
We all thought Ziggler was eating the pin too,
That's
right?
True. Hey, if Kane wins and Kane is the Universal Champion, I will be pleased as punch if that's the outcome of the Royal Rumble.
If Kane wins?
Yeah, if Kane wins.
You really would be pleased as punch?
One last big run for the Big Red Machine.
What's in your punch plan? What are you drinking in your punch?
All right, so I will not agree to disagree. That would just kill everything. Kill everything up to WrestleMania.
That was the funniest part tonight when Kane was giving that speech about you've defeated this person, you've defeated this person, you defeated my brother in destruction, the Undertaker. I wasn't thinking that Kane was going to say, but you haven't defeated me, like I'm going to win. I thought Kane was going to be like, add my name to the list of the guy whose ass you've kicked, That's what it sounded like to me.
And that promo from Kane sucked. That was the only thing I didn't like about this opening segment is Kane is way too eloquent for a monster,
Yes.
And it just doesn't fit with what his character is supposed to be. But, it sounded like corporate Kane. But that would be the worst ending. I mean, if they throw a swerve, it'd be Lesnar pinning Braun, which I can't see them doing. But, Lesnar's winning.
Well, through all the years that Kane was in hiding when he was a burned child, plotting his revenge to The Undertaker, he sat around with Paul Bearer reading the dictionary. So he's become a very, wordsmith.
You notice he didn't call Undertaker his brother, but his brother in destruction.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're, I don't know.
Undertaker interferes at the Rumble, and that's how Kane wins.
I stand by. We're going to see. I mean, I'm going to be at Raw 25. I'm going to be in the Manhattan Center. I stand by that. I'm going to see Taker in the Manhattan Center, and I think I'm standing by. It's Taker and Braun for WrestleMania. Tonight was I'm standing by that.
Could happen.
Braun needs a big match, and if he's not going to be in the title match, there's only two options.
But didn't they already put the wheels in motion with Triple H?
Triple H for what?
Oh, I mean, there was that segment. They haven't referenced it since, though.
Well, they always come back to that with Triple H because Triple H then stays off of TV until football season's over.
I think
then they start the build.
I think Triple H and Angle. I think Braun. I think Braun has two options just based upon what we think we know with the dominoes. It's either Braun versus Cena, or it's Braun versus Taker. Braun needs a marquee match, and Cena needs a marquee match, and Taker needs a marquee match.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see Taker, except Taker would take the loss. I can't see them having Taker beat Braun. Would they do that? I don't know.
Why not? I mean, again, you're going back to New Orleans where Taker lost the streak, and Braun simply says, last time you were in New Orleans, your streak was broken. Well, I'm going to break your career. I don't know. I think it's just Cena or Taker. Those are the only two. If Braun's not in the title picture, those are the only two worthy opponents for Braun.
I just think if they're going to do Braun and Cena, they wouldn't have wasted it on Raw already if that was in their plans. Because remember, they did that match on Raw.
Yeah,
right.
They teased Braun and Triple H at Survivor Series. I mean, that's clear. And the next night, it's clear that they planted those seeds for a reason.
Maybe. So then if that happens, then you figure, okay, they hold Mania out for Angle and Jason Jordan because Kurt Angle's having a match. So we know
that's what I think. Well, this is what we talked about recently was I think they're going to do Triple H and Kurt Angle at the Royal Rumble, and Jason Jordan costs Kurt Angle the match or turns on Kurt Angle. That goes to Jason Jordan and Kurt Angle at Mania, and then you have Braun and Triple H at Mania is kind of what I think they're going. But if Undertaker comes back and man, in his shoes, that huge payday for one night of work. I mean, I don't disagree with you. I could totally see it. But I feel like if he's doing if he decides he wants to do his last match, they need to advertise it as a retirement match, like or as like if he loses, he retires or something like that.
I've been preaching for 3 years, a better part of 3 years. Like, I agree, you can't make money off what you don't know. So if you put the hint in the stipulation that this is it, that just makes people, that makes it that much more valuable. I've long since said, we've never got the Taker Cena, all right? We never got that one. And I've always said that, because Cena's at the age he's at and he's so involved in Hollywood and everything else, you could literally have a John Cena versus Undertaker where it becomes the loser is done. And you legit would go, okay, I'm not quite sure who loses here.
Right. Yeah, I totally. I think that would be the way to go, because that would be fascinating, because both of them are almost gone anyway. So, all of a sudden it throws that wrench on who's going to win. So
I think Braun versus Taker, make it a casket match. They haven't done one of those in a while. Put away for Taker to go out.
I think, and Taker, I think he'd stick to that retirement clause if they did it. Seriously, it's like Shawn Michaels has really been the only one to stick with it. Yeah,
because they tried hard to get Shawn. I know for a fact they tried hard for Shawn to come out last year in San Antonio for Rumble. I know prior to that they tried to get him to do Dan O'Brien.
Right.
And so if I can see that. You're right. Taker would be the other one who would hold steadfast that, okay, if you said I'm retired, I'm retired.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Tonight, first match of the night, Samoa Joe versus Seth Rollins. Interference by Jason Jordan turned into Seth Rollins versus Jason Jordan. Just complete chaos. Chaos, man. Setting up a match for later in the evening with the two teaming together with Dean Ambrose against Joe Bar. And let's just talk about this storyline. Okay, so Raj, what you're talking about going Jordan versus Angle and Mania, can they milk Jason Jordan being just, I was gonna just say an insufferable word I shouldn't say, but you know what I mean? I was gonna go there, but yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, can they really milk Jason Jordan with this character without the audience just becoming, at worst, indifferent to it?
Oh, I think it's working already. Like, I felt like there was silence before, and now you're getting the loud boos. So I feel like it's working. And I think Jason Jordan in the ring is awesome. Like, you saw it tonight. You've been seeing it week after week. It's been kind of a quiet thing. No one wants to say they like Jason Jordan, but he is really good in the ring, and he has that potential. Like, Kurt Angle said in an interview that he thinks he's as good as AJ Styles. I don't think he's anywhere near there yet, but I think he will be there. He has all the tools. He's awesome in the ring. His mic skills are not there, and I don't know if they ever will be. But with this character and this storyline, it might end up working to their favor because fans have it in them to hate him. And I think him and Angle, unless you did like Angle versus AJ Styles or something like that, I think that Jason Jordan and Angle could have a hell of a match.
Yeah, we're 5 weeks away from Raw 25, which is to go home to Rumble. They can certainly keep doing the same formula for the next 5 weeks and get closer and closer to the hints that, more dissension between Jordan and Kurt. And then, once Jordan has that turn, whether it's at Rumble or shortly thereafter, then you use the rest of the road to Mania to build him up, let him get wins, let him mock Kurt, let him do things, let him start wearing things that Kurt wear. Just completely, poke the bear. And to what Raj is saying, I agree. He's very good in the ring. He's not AJ Styles. He's very, very good. People like to hate him. Mike skill's not there yet. He has it's if you actually look at his timeline of things that he's done, maybe I should put this in writing for Wrestling Inc. for a column. There's actually a lot of parallels to 96, 97 Rocky Maivia.
Yeah. And I think when that turn does happen, it needs to be violent. Like, you want to make that stick. Like, you have it be one of those rare occasions where you use blood, but Jason Jordan just, kicks the crap out of Kurt Angle, keep Kurt Angle off of TV for a month or whatever, come back, and then you got that Mania match, and it'll mean so much more.
Yeah, well, tonight, ball is rolling to that turning point. Seth Rollins won that first match
Great match. The best.
Yeah.
I mean,
really good.
Match, really best match on the show, I thought.
Yeah. After that, teased a lot of stuff that was going to happen later in the night, including setting up the match with Samoa Joe in the bar versus Rollins, Ambrose, and Jordan. Got a promo from Bray, a little singing in that promo, teasing or further building up his feud with Woken Matt Hardy, which we know now. Raj, do you think the 205 Live events are going to be where we first see these guys wrestle, or will they be on TV next week, finally battling it out in the ring?
I definitely don't think they'll have it on TV anytime this year. So I guess that's one more Raw. I think they could save it for the Rumble. I mean, there's still a lot of time, but I don't know. To me, it just and again, I didn't know I'd be filling in for Matt until towards the end. So when Bray talked, I kind of tuned out, and when
I think most people tune out.
Hardy, even when Matt Hardy was doing his stuff, I kind of found myself kind of not paying attention. I just feel like this Woken thing, there's something missing from it.
At least it wasn't intercut this week. I think it was smart to separate them.
I just think not having one person play that straight man is hurting it, and it's wacky. I think anyone that is not familiar with the Broken stuff and is watching this just would think it was just completely stupid. And Bray, it's the same stuff he's been doing forever. So he acts well, but we've been seeing the same thing week after week after week, and it's just tired.
Justin, what did you think of his rhythmic word salad tonight of a promo?
Yeah, I was fine with it. And I do like the fact they separated it, like you said, Glenn. I do think I can tell you that you will see them headlining or at least as a special attraction to the 205 live events, the house shows. That I can tell you for a fact that is because the ticket sales aren't where they want them to be. I think they will hold. I think I'll make this call now, and everybody can. I think you will first see the first blow off of the two of them will be at the Raw 25. I think that's where this is going to go. This is not going to be something I think they're going to give. I think Rumble is going to have enough of the two Rumble matches plus a Universal title match. You figure a WWE Championship match. They're not going to put in Rumble. They're going to use this as, hey, we need things to, they're going to make Rumble 25 like they did Raw 1000. They're going to say, okay, you're going to see these great names, but they're going to obviously leave the format and some things to surprise. They need things to advertise to the New York crowd. This is going to be one of the things they're going to advertise. Is seeing the payoff in the ring of these two guys. Matt Hardy's going to have new music. He's not going to come out, obviously, the Hardy Boy music, so we're going to see the presentation of Matt Hardy in front of the live crowd. Maybe not for the first time, but that's where the payoff's going to be right there, I think, is Raw 25. They'll work it out house show-wise for 205 Live, get their timing right, feel that out, but I think you'll get the best presentation at Raw 25.
But you don't think that's it? When do they ever do a one-and-done feud in WWE?
Well, but you figure... So
I could see that. I agree with you. I could see them wrestling there, but... with the Rumble, I agree. It's probably not enough to fit on the main card, but we're talking about a 4-hour Rumble, 2-hour kickoff. So there's a lot of time that they could, throw that match in there.
Maybe hey, whose compound do they do it at, though? That's what I want to know.
Well, that's the thing.
Alliance or the Hardys?
Yeah, that's the thing. They could, if depending on what they forecast for Matt, for Woken Matt, for Matt Hardy, they could certainly take it beyond Raw 25 and do things, Road to Mania. They have a February pay-per-view. I mean, they could certainly, they could do other things, compound, what have you. they really could. They
probably will.
How long till the boat shows up? I mean, do they get the rights to that as well?
I don't think they'd go that far, but yeah, I don't know. I think Raw 25, they're definitely going to stack that show.
Oh yeah.
But when they stacked, what was it? Raw, what was that? Was it Raw 15 or 1000? 1000. They didn't stack it with big matches. They stacked it with a lot of appearances.
That's what I mean. I was in St. Louis for Raw 1000, and that's what it was. There was one of the only things that was advertised for Raw 1000, if I jog my memory correctly, was at the time they were doing the thing with AJ Lee was getting ready to marry
Daniel Bryan.
It was a Bryan? Okay.
Yeah.
And Vince came out. I expect the same thing here, especially because they're going to be alternating between the two venues throughout the 3 hours. which is a funny challenge I'm hearing as is. So it's gonna be a lot of vagueness. It's gonna be tune in. It's gonna be really cool. You're gonna see X, Y, and Z. They're gonna need something like this to advertise, and I think this will be what they advertise.
And you're gonna be at the Manhattan Center, right?
I will be one of the 1,200 people there.
I'm thinking about making that trip out.
If anybody needs tickets, use the code LaBar fan and get 15% off on TicketKingOnline.com. Plug.
Oh man. So yes, we shall see. 2-on-1 handicap match tonight. Finn Balor versus The Miz to Raj. Now, The Miz is done shooting his scenes in the Marine 6. Not back tonight. However, Hideo Itami, the newest addition to 205 Live, shows up, saves Finn from a savage beatdown at the hands of The Miz to Raj, and it turns into a tag team match with Itami and Finn Balor getting the win. Raj, is this one step closer? I mean, this is Finn in a match with someone from 205 Live now.
Look,
if The Miz doesn't come back and get in a feud with Finn Balor, it's just the writing's on the wall.
That's where it's clearly headed, is The Miz feuding with Finn Balor.
Thank God.
He's been with The Miz to Raj. They haven't dropped, Finn Balor so far down the card that they're going to move him to 205 Live. Remember Neville, they were doing nothing with him. He wasn't on pay-per-views. He barely made kickoff shows. So, again, if they did that with Finn, it'd be a huge waste of money. It'd be career suicide. I don't see them doing it unless they've lost all faith in him.
Yeah. What are you hearing, Justin? Finn posting all these over memes that he's really making happen, but what do you hear? What's the scoop?
Well, I don't know if they'll move him to 205 Live. I mean, I am a believer. Once you move somebody there, it's hard to go back because again, it's the only weight class in this predetermined athletic competition. So you're telling people that these guys are inferior. So I don't know. I don't know what this means. I think we've talked about it on previous weeks. I think he's doomed by the success of the demon gimmick. It makes then just regular old Finn Balor, the weird guy popping his collar as he walks out. I did imagine when I saw Hideo Itami do the GTS, I did imagine Triple H or somebody telling Vince like a 1 o'clock production meeting, this is the guy that created the GTS, CM Punk's finishing move, and Vince finding some pleasure of, let's put him out there. I don't know.
Did Hideo Itami, did he look a little off tonight? I don't know if it was just working with the Mistourage or whatever, but I don't know. He didn't look like I don't know. He didn't look like anything special, like that someone you'd invest in.
And keep in mind, speaking of investment, this is the guy that they sent Hulk Hogan and Jimmy Hart to Japan to do a contract sign in the middle of Japan on a show to announce that they're bringing him here. And my, how the years have changed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hideo was great in the ring. I mean, I think the problem was that he joined NXT at a time when, and then he was out for a while, but I think that,
he looked, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it. Go for it.
He looked a little out of shape.
Oh.
I thought.
Maybe. I thought his ring work was all right. I mean, it was against the Mistourage, so I could only get so engaged with this match.
This show seemed like a lot of stalling. Like this went on forever. The Seth and Jason Jordan. I mean, with this match, we were already like almost halfway through the show, right? We were almost at the hour and a half point after this match was over. Yeah, it just.
Well, think about the guys that did double duty. Seth pulled double duty.
Yeah.
Where was Roman tonight?
Roman has the week off, so
must be nice.
Well, hey,
when you're the big dog, when you're the Intercontinental Champion,
everyone gets time off. I mean, he's got a crazy schedule, so you can't fault him for that.
Yeah,
he's got twins that he had last year, and he's another daughter, so
he's a recovering mumps victim. So.
Yeah.
Hey, he's a mumps survivor. Thank you.
He couldn't spend time with his kids during that time with the mumps, so yeah. It's funny, like when he's missing, it's a big deal, but there's so many weeks where certain people aren't on the show.
When Slater and Rhino get a prepared TV match, then you know that the depth chart's running thin, and I like both. I like both of those guys.
No, I
Hey,
love
friend
him.
of the podcast, Heath Slater. You know, always thumbs up in our book.
Rhino was on back in the day too.
Hey, you know, they got a match in a segment. We'll talk about that.
Rhino's
first,
a former Justin LaBar guy. He's a
there you go.
former client of mine on the independent circuit.
There you go. Number one contenders match for the Cruiserweight Championship, Drew Gulak versus Cedric Alexander. Cedric won. Gulak lost. Build up to this was a lot more interesting, I thought, than the match itself. I liked the stuff with Enzo and Gulak backstage. What's up with Enzo? I tweeted this. He looks like he's slowly morphing into Captain Lou Albano. Like, his look is just getting weirder.
That's awesome. He stays fresh. He doesn't wear the same thing every week. I dig it.
Yeah, it was a little weird time. And he was on commentary. I thought that was a nice touch.
That's the best guest commentary I think I've heard on WWE in a long time.
Could you just? I was going to say that was the highlight of here. It was not the match, but the commentary. Could you just sense Michael Cole's frustration, trying to keep, because we all know the commentators have the rules. You can let the banter go on between the color people and what have you, and the guests, but you still need to call it the high spots. Still need to acknowledge the pinfalls, and Cole's trying to do that. And you have Enzo, who doesn't shut up, Graves, who is so happy to have an open mic to slam Enzo. Then Booker T is just talking nonsense about who knows what.
Booker sounded like he wanted to go party with Enzo after the show. He was like, "Hey man, this is my kind of guy."
I think he was doing it just to aggravate Graves.
It could have been. There is some definite real tension there.
Yeah. Enzo, hey man, thank God for him, or 205 Live and the Cruiserweights would be dead on arrival at this point. Yeah. So we got the segment afterwards with Enzo and Nia. You think that's happening for this mixed match Facebook tournament? I think that's going to be the pairing, and that's what this is building to with them.
Is Enzo in it?
Is he? I thought he was.
I didn't think he was in it. They've been pushing on social media, Nia and Braun. You could kind of tell they're pushing these certain pairings on social media, who they want people to vote for.
Oh, today, oh my God, Becky and saying she wants to pair with Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn being like, hell yes.
Yeah, exactly. And they're doing Asuka and I think Goldust and some other random ones.
Did you see? Did you see Becky and Liv Morgan going at it today?
Yeah,
that was Becky burned her something fierce on Twitter. And this was one of those things that it didn't seem like they were just working an angle. It seemed like Liv was legitimately as upset that Becky posted that tweet and then tried to throw in a little burn, and then Becky was just savage with her response.
Yeah, Enzo and Nia both in mixed match. So
for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, it's on the site. The title of the article is Becky Lynch Rips New SmackDown Stars Wrestling Skills. And so WWE posted this video of the Riot Squad walking in, and they put the caption, the X Factors just walked in. Becky Lynch replied, and all the fans just walked out. Liv said, and every time you scream straight fire, we all cringe on the inside, which
it's a little forced. I say that the biggest Becky fan on the panel.
Yeah. And then Becky replied, she posted this video of Liv delivering this horrendous elbow, I think accidentally, to Sarah Logan, and wrote, and every time you wrestle, in quotes, we all cringe on the outside. So,
hey, that's a feud.
The fact that she used the word wrestle would make me think that it's a shoot.
Yeah. I thought Liv, I know we didn't really talk about this in the Riot Squad. I thought Liv last night, the way she changed her appearance, looked like the biggest star of the Riot Squad last night out there. But it's not saying much.
I think,
yeah, but the Rumble, the women are going to get a chance, I think, which is good given the depth of the division right now. Speaking of which, Asuka versus Alicia Fox. It's more of a match. They've given Alicia more offense in these matches than you would think for something that's happened so many times. And I got to call it out. I know it's the thing. That Northern Lights suplex again tonight is a thing of beauty. She hit that perfectly. High point of the match.
Yeah.
It's her. That should be her finisher because she really executes that move so well.
What is her finisher?
I have no idea.
I don't think she has one, does she?
Has she ever won a match? She did.
Well, she does. I know she does the Booker T like scissors kick.
Yeah, I think that used to be. She was women's champ for a while, or whatever the women's championship was called back then, because they had the Divas Championship and the Women's Championship. So she had one of those when they had both. But
Asuka won. If anyone's wondering how that turned out, could you imagine? Like, if they just decided, no, Alicia's going to break the streak.
Let's swerve everyone here.
Who do you think it's going to be? I almost put this up as a Twitter poll. Who do you think it's going to be? You think it's going to be Paige, Charlotte, Nia, Ronda Rousey, perhaps?
Winning the Rumble?
No, that breaks Asuka's streak. If you had to predict right now of the women's roster or Rousey as a potential.
Go ahead, Justin.
I say Rousey. I think Asuka wins the Rumble. I think she wins whichever title she challenges for at Mania, and I think eventually, I don't know. The way they're building Asuka, I mean, they're sticking to it. I mean, hell, they didn't even have her. They didn't even have her do what is in tradition, which is you drop the title when you're leaving a territory, aka she's leaving NXT. They just like let her vacate the title basically to keep the undefeated streak. Have stuck to it. She's very technical the way they have her doing the submissions and everything. So I don't know. I mean, I know people want to say Charlotte, and Charlotte's probably the next, safest gamble. But I think Triple H is working all of us in the interview he did with whoever it was. I'm sorry, I'm not crediting them, but whoever it was, where he said, this whole Rousey stuff is news to me. I think he did the same thing on the conference call with the media. He worked all of us 3 days before SamoaE showed up in NXT. Somebody asked about Samoa Joe, and he's like,
"We had asked on
like, you
that,
guys,
yeah."
He was like, "Who is this Samoa Joe you speak of?" And 3 days later, Joe shows up. So of course he's going to kayfabe. So I think that I don't know. I think Rousey would be, even though Rousey might be a more attractive box office to a Charlotte Flair or a Stephanie McMahon. I think if you're going to have anybody break Asuka's streak, I think Asuka could challenge Bliss or whoever the champion is at Mania. You could also have Rousey in the separate grudge match against Steph, and eventually an Asuka and Rousey crossing paths could happen. Whether, I don't know if you could drag that to SummerSlam, that might be a little bit long, but I think Rousey would be a thing that you could do.
Well, Rousey, she's pretty much lost her movie roles. She's not doing UFC. And what else is she doing? So, I don't think this is a one and done. I think she
was hosting Battle of the Network Stars on ABC over the summer.
Ah, there you go.
Whatever happened to her doing the remake of Roadhouse?
I know.
They shelved that. Yeah. So
she was the high point of the Entourage movie. I think, her and Roadhouse.
How the skinny turtle got. That was something. But I mean, I could see this going on, and I don't know. I can't see Stephanie McMahon not helping herself to being involved in that match and doing something, So I don't know
Stephanie
if it's a singles match or a mixed tag match. But I think that Rousey's next match after Mania will be with someone that'll actually benefit. And, the one at Mania would probably be Stephanie. But I hope I'm wrong, because I think Asuka and Rousey would be a very cool WrestleMania matmatch.
So back to our WrestleMania fantasy card, as we started the show with, as we're trying to figure out who goes with who. With Braun, you just said mixed. What if it's Steph and Triple H versus Rousey and I don't know if they can pull The Rock back in, but if Rousey and another man, Rousey and Kurt Angle, I don't know.
Huh.
They could do that. I mean, yeah, I mean, they could do that for sure.
If they want to protect Rousey, who obviously is extremely limited, and I know she's training right now, but obviously she's extremely limited in her pro wrestling match abilities. If they wanted to be able to hide her, mixed tag would be a way to go. Because that's not like, it's one thing if you put Rousey in a Mania match with a Charlotte or an Asuka, somebody who's like could carry her. But you put her in a match with Stephanie. It's not like Stephanie can is this ring general who can carry her. So you'd have to do a mixed match at that point, then just to protect everybody.
Right.
Does the public
obviously the big rumor had always been the 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen, but you got 2 horsewomen that people don't even know their names. I mean, honestly, Shayna Baszler, most people don't really know her, so it kind of diminishes Rousey's star power, I think, by putting her in an 8-woman tag match. So I think to maximize that, you want to put her in a one-on-one or a tag team match with someone that's a big star.
And how ridiculous does that make the WWE horsewomen, the Charlotte, Becky, Sasha, and Bayley? How ridiculous does that make them look if they had these 4 others who are, green as goat shit and are in there challenging them? You know what I mean? It's just maybe in 2 years from now, if anybody still cares. But
all right, so let me ask you guys this: who are the other 2 horsewomen of MMA?
Pestilence.
No.
Yeah, I bet you most people. Yeah, I bet you almost everyone would not know that. So
put
them in a featured WrestleMania match.
One of them could be sitting next to me giving me a back massage. I wouldn't know the 4 horsewomen. I wouldn't know.
Oh, Marina Shafir, she's married to Roderick Strong, and then Jessamine Duke. She had a cup of coffee at the UFC, but yeah. So those are the other 2, but no one knows that. So I just don't see them doing that.
Yeah. Although then you do that, maybe you do Asuka versus Alexa Bliss. I don't know what you do on the SmackDown side. I
don't think they're not going to. I bet you they will not do a singles match with Alexa Bliss. She has been pushed to the side so much since they started the whole Page angle that you forget that she's a champ.
Yeah.
It's just a complete afterthought right now.
Oh man. It's a weird time. And with this Rumble, was she in the locker room coming out at the end?
Yeah, she came out.
Okay. She's small, so it is hard to notice her.
Well, and she I know we'll get to this. She's standing there and she's helping celebrate with this announcement, but yeah, it's like, well, she shouldn't be in the Rumble because she's a champion and she's a title holder, so it doesn't matter anyway. It's like I think what happened is literally they had some direction for the women's booking, and then as soon as they had both of those trios simultaneously debut, I said it on the spot. Glenn, it was me, you, and Matt. It was me, you, and Matt because Matt even questioned me. He's like, "Is that like a legit thing?" I said, "I believe the only reason they're doing these 2 trios now after Survivor Series is they just need to add warm bodies to add to the depth so they can fill out a." Hey, here's enough girls that you've seen on TV to put into a Rumble match. And this is what's happened.
So what do you think it's going to be, 15 or 20?
I think, per my column on Wrestling Inc., which people can go check out, I think 20. Because if you go through WWE's roster right now of people who are active, take away Charlotte, take away Alexa, and they still have both Bellas listed as active, even then you're looking at like 18 or 19, I think there. So like, for them to do 30, they would have to then pull enough throwback surprises, Trish's, Lita's, whatever, have to then implement some NXT girls or even pull from the Indies in a Mae Young Classic. That might be a bit of a stretch. So I could see 20 if they use everybody that we know of. And that includes the impeccable Dana Brooks of the world and stuff.
Yeah, and maybe they have Kairi Sane come up. Maybe Lita comes back.
Yeah. I mean, I think when you got a 30-man Royal Rumble, and I mean 2 Royal Rumbles is almost overkill. But
they had too many in the banks.
That's why I think, but even that felt like overkill. The shows where you had 1, I felt like it was way more effective. The crowd heat was the hottest. By the time you got to the second, it just wasn't the same. So
can't wait for that dual elimination chamber match on that pay-per-view.
Yeah. So I almost think you do 15, and that way that's a half an hour still at least, and then I don't think Charlotte and Alexa should be in it. I think should have the same stip that the winner gets a title shot.
Yeah, no, it's completely illogical if Charlotte and Alexa are in it.
Yeah, makes no sense. But it'll be interesting. Glad they announced it. I think it'll be
it'll be awesome.
Good.
Except for the contrived yes chant.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
We'll get to that, but the whole the whole segment drives me nuts with Stephanie standing there and everyone backs off like they got in trouble at school.
And no trademark 2018 or 2017 at the end. For all we know, Raw's still going on. How do I know Raw's over without that graphic?
You actually noticed that? Jesus.
That's how I know it's time to do the podcast. That's where I'm like, it's over. Like, I look for that. That's my sign. I
lost my faith in that when Triple H started using that as a swerve in NXT when they put that up, and then they'd have an angle take place after when Gargano and Ciampa would be fighting or something.
That's on the network, man. You know, FCC's got regulations, at least for a little while longer. Samoa Joe and the Bar versus Jason Jordan, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose. Barn burner of a match. This went on a really long time. The Bar and Samoa Joe won. Jason Jordan continued to make no friends with this. And it's a work now that Ambrose hurt his arm. And then they had Joe attacking him backstage with that.
They did a good job with that injury because it almost looked real with just how abruptly that finish came after that. But yeah, they had them get destroyed. Something fierce. I think they're building for the Shield against the Bar and Samoa Joe at the Royal Rumble. I mean, that's the plan. You know, that's what they're doing at all the live events. But it's clear they want to, you know, get the heat on Samoa Joe and Sheamus and Cesaro, and then Roman Reigns. I don't know if he'll be back next week. I think he is. But yeah, and do a big angle. But
yeah. Do they put all the belts on the line for the 3-on-3 match at the Rumble?
I don't know about that. I mean, I thought it was well done, the injury angle, because they really actually don't often use the ringside doctor. They usually don't use that as a work. So the fact that they did use them, it did kind of come off as real, and the timing and everything looked like it was off purposely to create the illusion that something's going wrong.
Yeah, until the backstage attack.
Right. I mean, I kind of think after I saw the backstage attack and I saw the attack again, I'm like, okay, the injury is obviously part of the deal here. I think it might be leading. You know, we all, at least I do, kind of figure Dean's going to be the one that turns heel. Eventually, when the Shield's going to break up, it's going to be Dean this time that turns. So I kind of think this might be setting that up in some way.
Maybe. After that. So the Matt Woken promo. Matt Hardy playing chess with the goldfish, everybody. If you missed out on Raw tonight, that actually happened.
Broken Nemo.
Yes. We were talking about this before we got on the air with Matt Morgan, who unfortunately missed watching Raw tonight coming on. We said, so one week I want to have Matt, or I want to have a guest, maybe one of our regulars, doesn't watch Raw that week. And we just tell them 4 things that happen on Raw, but 3 of them are completely made up. And they have to guess which thing actually happened. Because if I said to you, Matt Hardy played chess with a goldfish tonight while he cut a promo, you might think, oh, Glenn's just talking crazy. But no, that actually happened.
Wasn't the goldfish's name actually Napoleon?
He did refer to him as that, I believe.
Napoleon.
Yes. Talked about the size of his, the size of his vessel?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a goldfish once, but died. Very short-lived.
We've had a couple that met the same fate. They're not meant to live long lives, but
doesn't make it any better when they die.
They're not long for this world. No. They're not like flies with a 72-hour life.
You don't go in hoping to get an emotional attachment to your goldfish.
Tell my daughter that.
Oh yeah.
Tell my daughter that when little Ferdinand or whatever the hell she named it dies.
You don't even remember the name.
Ferdinand's a solid name for
a bull. That's a bull. Whatever.
Yeah. What was with the sign tonight? That I want to say, like, that was, did like DreamWorks pay money for the guy there? Took me a second to figure out what the hell he was talking about. Ferdinand greater than Brock Lesnar. Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I thought this was. I think this is. I said this on the Wednesday podcast. I think this stuff is cringeworthy. it's not working for me. And I was a big fan of the broken gimmick in TNA. I just felt like it's lost all its rawness and its organic feel, and it just feels like. And I love Matt Hardy, and I've been pushing for them to bring it back and give him creative control, but it's overproduced. It just doesn't fit. Something's missing, and I just find these segments to be kind of embarrassing. I said it.
Yeah,
I know I get a lot of hate for it, but
it was better.
I think if you watch
week.
it with an objective eye, yeah, I thought yes, it was 100. It was way better this week than last week, but it's still. I mean, the crowd reaction I thought was pretty tepid. I mean, they chanted delete, but that was about it.
Yep.
Come on, what do you guys think?
Let's
not agree to disagree here.
No, I think it's tricky, right? Because you do something that's beloved on Impact, where Matt Hardy had complete creative control, and him and Jeff really got to make this their own. This DIY production, and part of the charm of it was the DIY quality. And so now here you have them trying to do that in the world's largest sports entertainment company. I'm sure there's creative giving their notes. They're trying to dress it up. And it's against Bray Wyatt, a character that is irrelevant at this point. And I'm saying that based no disrespect to Bray, how they've booked him in all of his feuds and all of his matches. Yes, he had the tag titles and the title at the start of this year, but to have him with Bray does not bring a sense of gravitas to the level that Matt Hardy is at in the WWE.
Well, I can tell you that everything that Matt has done in the Woken promos, it's been I guess 3 weeks now. Everything he's got to say, has been his final approval. Like, they've given him the format and said, well, this is what we're going to kind of have Bray say. This is how the back and forth is going to go in the editing. But he's got to write the language. So far, he's had the creative control. It's weird because Bray's the perfect opponent, but he's not the perfect opponent. There's the sense that Bray's lost a lot of credibility with us because of how he's been booked, and there's just everything's so empty. He says all these riddles. He's got a great presentation, but then the matches happen, and just he's a good worker, but just nothing's came out of it, right? But on the other side of it, he's kind of the perfect person to put up against this weird character because, I think, Raj, I think you said it way earlier in this podcast, or maybe you said it before we even started recording. I don't remember. I'm sorry. But you said something about, like, there's not a straight person in this. And I actually think that's kind of the magic of it. I think it's kind of nice you have these two weird beings. And I think, at least for the education to the audience who's not familiar with the Woken/Broken Matt, you need to have it be two weirdos. Plus, when Broken Matt was at its height in TNA, people fantasized, oh, wouldn't it be great if he came back to WWE and fought with the Wyatt family, because of the supernatural factor and the weird factor and, Hardy compound, Wyatt compound. So I think Bray's the right guy to go up against this. Matt's got the creative control. So I think it's just a matter of, I think a lot of what they're doing right now is kind of it's just to educate. It's just to educate the people that aren't familiar with it. And that might be where the hang up is, where it's like, we need to see Matt in front of the live audience. We need to see the music. We need to see the ring attire. But they're going to slow burn until we get that because they really want to make sure they get everybody invested, or at least attempt to. And
per tweet by the CFO, it looks like we're going to be getting some Woken music soon. Yes. I think the problem is the style of promo. I'm going to look right in the camera and I'm going to do my thing. And it's not the typical 80s style, at Royal Rumble, you're going down, brother. Instead, they're doing these esoteric ideas. It reminds me of how we saw it die with Goldust and R-Truth when they did that a couple months ago, of let's just let them do these monologues that aren't even that. Monologue is the wrong word. I think a monologue is a personal statement that is telling you where the guy is coming from, what their motivation is, and what their plans are. I think the monologue can actually be one of the most moving things in professional wrestling. But when you have them doing these character pieces to the camera, and that's where the Goldust R-Truth thing just died an uncomfortable death. Because it was performance art, and I don't think that works as well in professional wrestling.
Well, Glenn, I hear what you're saying, but on the flip side is what I know and I think a lot of people critique heavily about WWE is the please welcome my guest at this time.
Yeah,
and that horribly forced pre-produced stuff they do. So to me, this just feels like a breath of fresh air that we can just have these guys not need some journalist standing there.
Oh, they don't need, I'm not saying that, but why not have him produce something that's more akin to what he was doing in Impact? Why not have him produce?
As I say to you, I think that they're going to build. I think they're going to build it to this till Raw 25. So you got 5 weeks. So they might be. It started with the back and forth laughing and blah blah blah. Now we separated the promos. One is singing, one's playing chess with a goldfish. So I think as the 5 weeks go, we might start seeing them on location. So I think let's just watch and see where it goes.
I just think, my point with having the straight man, like let's say you had a heel Seth Rollins, right? Feuding with this Matt Hardy slowly going insane. You could have him kind of bringing out that Matt Hardy's losing his mind and going nuts and telling the fans that, be like, you're losing it. You're freaking losing your mind, as opposed to these two guys that are trying to out weird each other. And it just comes across as unrealistic. And part of the broken stuff was the corniness, that it was so corny that it was cool. And with Bray, you just don't have that. I just think this is going to die a slow death, personally. And I feel like you're already kind of seeing it. And I know there's been so many times in the past, people are like, well, we'll just wait to see what they do with it. Wait to see what they do with it. And you just see week after week, it's worse and worse and worse till it dies a slow death.
Weird also that he's doing we've been battling since the dawn of time with you and your companion, Sister Abigail. It's just kind of like, okay, like you're either new or you're familiar. Can't have it both ways.
Yeah, it's just WWE they're Vinceifying broken Matt. And you know what? Honestly, I felt like it was getting a little old in the tooth at the end of his TNA run too. Like I felt like it was still the most entertaining thing on the show, but it wasn't near as effective as it was earlier. But
well, I think I attribute that, Raj, to TNA hooked up the horses in the wagon and everything, and made Broken Matt and Brother Nero and everybody carry. Like I think they overexposed it. They required them to fill so many minutes of television because TNA was like, oh my God, we've hit this gem. Let's just make this the whole show. Hence, they did one episode with the whole thing. So I think that was part of what might, because I kind of relate to you in that feeling.
Yeah,
I think that's why. I think that's why.
Yeah. I think this is one of those things you don't want to overexpose.
Or, and this is the last thing I'll say on it, or change up what Bray's doing in this, because Bray is in the same Bray backdrop, cutting the same Bray promo. And he was a little more sing-songy than usual. But with Bray, is there his promos he cut against Finn, promos he was cutting against Randy? It's just all the same, man. Like, why even bother shooting something new? Just, dub in the opponent's name and just have him say his jibber jabber, again and again.
His promos have lost their effectiveness since he feuded with Cena, because it's been like a lower card version of everything you've already seen. And they want him in that role. And there was that period where they were going to turn him babyface. You remember that? And then he got injured on that episode where they started the babyface turn. Like he saved Roman, or he I can't remember if he teamed with Roman or he saved Roman, but they did something where they were going in that direction. Then Bray got hurt, and then boom, and then he was back to where he was.
Fate's a funny thing. It also saved us from seeing him as Sister Abigail. But now in hindsight, I'm kind of wishing that was the direction they were going in. At least it would be different. It would have been terrible, most likely, but at least it would be different.
And they're bringing up Sister Abigail a lot with this, so I don't think
maybe they go back to
dropped it. Yeah,
Matt's become Woken, and Bray becomes Sister Abigail. Or he just becomes the Bludgeon Brother. I mean,
yeah, that's true. Get out the lace napkin, put it over his face again, make it happen.
Bray Bludgeon.
Bray Bludgeon.
Jesus Christ.
He's a big mallet and all.
Okay, so this got a lot more balanced tonight than I thought. The Revival surprise return in a match that up until the end, I was not sure if it was meant to showcase the Revival or Rhino and Slater, who got in a surprising amount of offense against the team that's supposed to be the dominant throwback faction, making their big Raw re-debut in a sense tonight.
It's funny because they're assuming you don't watch WWE programming, right? Because they're assuming like no one watches main event, which I guess no one does. Because
Where does main event air, Raj? Where does it air? Tell me right now.
It airs somewhere because they produce it every week.
Wrestling Inc. is great about posting the results of it, but where the frick does it air?
It airs on a delay on the WWE network. It's on Hulu, I believe.
Is it really?
I don't think
so.
so.
I don't think it airs in the U.S.
I don't believe
I thought it was outside of the U.S.
I searched WWE main event and I got watched main event online at Hulu.
They probably haven't updated it, honestly.
Hulu doesn't even know that.
Anyone in the chat, if you have Hulu, is main event on there? Let us know. Someone's saying it is, so I think you're right, Glenn.
Yeah. Yeah, they have an episode from last Wednesday.
It airs in Canada, apparently. So, God, who was the one that was injured? Why is it slipping my mind?
I thought they said tonight. Well, both of them had an injury. They said tonight.
Dawson was the last one. When they were building to the Hardys revival, Dawson, the bald one, was the last one that got hurt.
Yeah, and I love the revival, but
they should be wearing fanny packs and Zubaz pants and Ribera jackets.
Right. So Scott Dawson's been injured. So Dash Wilder's been wrestling on main event for like the last 5 months or however long he's been out.
But what's funny about that tonight? Oh, I'm sorry. What was that?
No, I was just saying Raj has been watching main event.
Yeah.
Nobody else does.
Raj has to update on the site who wrestled on main event from the reader tips he gets.
We do. We got main event, main event results for tonight.
Titus Brand. How's Titus Brand doing on main event? What's up with Dana Brooke?
Paula Cruz defeated Kurt Hawkins and Kalisto defeated Arya Davari. So if you don't have a Hulu membership,
hey, you got Runaways, you got the Johnny Carson show, and you got WWE main event right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So, and Future Man, which I binged all of last week with an actor that I swear to God I thought was one of the dudes from The Ascension until I went to his IMDb page. But anyhow, so the revival, right? This should have been big tonight, but then who gets the vignette after backstage? Slater and Rhino saying they got to toughen up. They want to keep their place and keep getting these opportunities.
Now, here's the problem with the revival, and I'm huge fans of the revival, is when you got them coming off of 2 injuries, Vince is, he has that mentality of really not doing much with guys after they've been injured, and especially coming off of 2 in a short period. So I hope that doesn't hurt him.
Gotta go to SmackDown or Gallows and Anderson.
Vince is still in charge of SmackDown.
Yeah, well, but still, I don't think. Hey, Vince is restarting the XFL. He's got other stuff to deal with. He's gonna road dog,
Well, and everything Raj. Well, first off, I think it was nice that at least in the middle of the revival entrance, they at least cut to a little bit of the video montage to try to remind people who they were. That was nice.
Remember these guys you saw like on 2 episodes?
They were dominant for 3 weeks.
Right. I give that credit. But Raj is very much, he knows what he's talking about on this, and this is gonna piss the chat room off here. That is what Raj said about the injuries and what it does to Vince's mentality. Like, I could tell you firsthand, heard it from sources involved in this. That's a big part of something that has caused Finn Balor to be put in a reset. Vince was pitched and trusted the pitch and went with it to say, okay, SummerSlam, second biggest show of the year. I'm going to give this brand new title to this guy who's so over with the music and the entrance and NXT and the demon, the face paint and the blah, 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 blah. And guy gets hurt, not Finn's fault, just gets hurt, just freak accident. That did him no favors. That screwed up a lot of creative. And at the end of the day, when it's business, that pissed Vince off.
I can see it.
Yeah, I mean, you can hear it straight from people that have worked with Vince. Freddie Prinze Jr. has talked about it several times, and he agrees with them, saying that Vince doesn't,
We got to get FPJ on the podcast. I know he's doing his own thing now. I feel like he'd be a fantastic guest on this podcast.
Yeah, I don't even know what he's doing right now.
He's got a podcast. I think that's all he's doing.
Doesn't everyone have a podcast?
Everyone has a podcast.
We got one.
Yeah, no, seriously.
I mean, you saw with Ziggler. Remember, Ziggler was world heavyweight champion. Got the concussion. lost it immediately when he came back and was pushed so far down the card that he's kind of been in that rut ever since.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll bring him in for a 3-week push or a 4-week push and then back down the card. But
Daniel Bryan.
They
put so much stock. I mean, they changed a WrestleMania. They changed the entire story for WrestleMania 30, the big 30, around Bryan. And the night of, it delivered. And then, of course, we all know what happened 3 weeks later. And then he's out for 10 months. They bring him back again, which I think partially they bring him back, and that's a big part of what hurt Roman is that they advertise Bryan's coming back in this Rumble. Bryan gets eliminated at like 19 or 20. They, pushing, he's in an intercontinental thing, and he gets hurt again. I mean, you can't imagine when Vince is looking at this from a line item of what are we spending on this guy, what are we investing, what are we doing? And this guy keeps getting hurt. That's just it's a bad deal.
But Rhino and Slater, they're every
real
week.
Real quick. Here's the quote from Freddie Prinze, and you look on the site. The title of your article is Freddie Prinze Jr. on Vince McMahon rightly putting WWE title on bigger stars and ignoring fans. So what he said was, I want you to believe in the indie guys and the guys coming from NXT, but just remember, only certain guys get to hold the title. Oh, you've got to be the right type. The small guys, their story is climbing the mountain. It's not reaching the mountaintop. They're Sisyphus. Am I saying that right?
Oh, the boulder, rolling the boulder uphill.
Yeah, they rolled the boulder up only to have it thrown all the way back down. Shawn Michaels was a rare exception because his body would not break. Rey Mysterio is an exception that proves the rule. He's not an exception to the rule. He got hurt. The demands of a champion. Daniel Bryan is another great example of what they have to do to their bodies 325 days a year without good sleeping conditions, without good physical therapy, without the means to rest between matches because you're just on another plane in coach flying somewhere, is grueling and destructive. And that's why Vince wants to keep the belt on bigger guys, because historically they've been able to last longer and remain healthier. So you see certain people push a certain way. I mean, that's coming directly from Vince. I mean, he's not like guessing that's what Vince thinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I see it. Yeah. So with the revival, we shall see. Rhino and Slater, get ready for some vignettes. They got a storyline, folks.
Good.
They're going to toughen up.
Slater is gold in everything he does. So
absolutely, he dropped his catchphrase tonight. I popped for that a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, to put Heath over, man, and we talked about earlier. Let's go back to Raw 1000. Heath was doing that gimmick of fighting the legends. And getting beat by all the different legends, and that was totally Raj, and you might know Heath better than I do here. I think you can verify this. That was Heath. He pitched that to them and said, "Let me go out now. Let me go out and job to all these legends." But he was smart enough to realize this could be the highlight of the shows, and it did, and it was, and he had a great spot leading up to that Raw 1000 and in the Raw 1000. So yeah, Heath knows what he's doing. So hopefully hopefully he's got some kind of plan here.
Yeah, what I was gonna say is, he's got a great mind for what works entertainment wise. Like
although to hear him tell it, he just shows up. They tell him they got something for him, and he goes, "Okay, sounds good to me."
Can we bring him on the podcast again, and can we do the game of? All right, Heath, we're going to tell you 4 things. 3 of them happen on Raw. Let's see what he says.
Yeah, Heath's back in catering. I don't think Heath follows Raw very closely each week.
Yeah, but it looks like they're doing something with them. I remember they were teasing them breaking up last year.
They'll probably be the end of this. I mean, right? That's the end game, I think, of this, that they'll get tough and then go the way of the Hype Bros. Because that apparently, last night, I don't know what you thought of this, Justin, like the TD Center was super invested in Mojo Rawley versus Zack Ryder on the kickoff show match last night. I mean, never thought that would happen.
Well, you got to think Mojo's best friends are Gronkowski. Gronkowski's, in the Patriots or in that area. I don't know. Maybe
I pop some people in.
I pop for Gronkowski because I'm from Maryland.
Yeah.
Or pop for Gronkowski. Pop for Mojo because Mojo went to University of Maryland. I'm from Maryland. He was wearing the Maryland flag on his tights, so that was a cheap pop for me.
Well, there you go. Final segment of the night. We made it, folks. We had Elias interrupted by Sasha Banks, Mickie James, and Bayley. Strange how they did that. Kind of liked it. Was worried for a second we were going to have Sasha and Elias announced for the mixed match challenge, but thankfully that did not happen. Just Elias filling some time. before the women's match, going into the match.
I thought he was great as always. I get a kick out of him.
Crowd was
do
into
it for
it
me in NXT, and I think he's just awesome here.
Yeah. And they went up against Absolution. Chaos as the locker room empties out into the ring. Stephanie McMahon comes out and announces the Women's Rumble. Kind of weird that they showed her coming there in the limo earlier in the night to have her sort of spontaneously break up the ruckus.
I think it was good because here's why. Because once we saw the 6-man tag of the makeshift Shield versus the Bar and Joe,
yeah,
I was thinking about once we saw that at the East Coast, the 10 o'clock turn, start of the third hour, I was like, all right, well, what the hell what am I forgetting? What are they ending the show with? And then I see Stephanie, and I'm like, oh, we still have the women. If I wouldn't have seen Stephanie, I mean, obviously I'm going to watch all of RAW because that's what I do, and I'm doing this podcast. But I could see the average person going, well, all right, well, what the hell else do I want to watch? Like, what's on the line for this women's match? So I think by seeing Stephanie, it gave it that little, okay, I got to make sure I watch because obviously I'm going to see Stephanie again. When's she going to show up?
Who's she going to emasculate?
Well,
what charitable initiative is she going to announce?
Well, but I think it's
you knew something big was coming,
right,
or something important. And I agree. I mean, I think we all probably guessed it was going to be a Women's Rumble announcement or something along those lines. My problem with the women's division has always been how they book no heat with these women. Like, they're Absolution or whatever. They're supposed to be this, this force that's attacking everyone. And then Stephanie McMahon comes in. They just all kind of stand back and they're like, oh, what's, I
like that noise you made, Raj. That was like...
it's terrible. Like they book these women like they're school kids. And, they all play together. And then on certain weeks they're feuding with each other. And on certain weeks they're friends and teaming together. There's no like real heat, and they need that. And I think that's just been missing. And you saw it tonight. And so I give them all the credit in the world that they're putting the women in these specialty matches, with Hell in the Cell and Money in the Bank and now the Rumble. But until you start booking them differently and not clumping them all together and making it seem like they have real rivalries too and real issues that makes you want to pay to see a resolution to it, it's not much different than how they booked women 5 years ago, 10 years ago, except that they're doing these specialty matches now.
Who wants to make a bet that when they do the Women's Rumble, whether it's 15 or 20 or 30, that when that last spot comes, so let's say if it's 20, so we've had 19 entrants and we're waiting for 20. When 20 hits, and then 3, 2, 1, and it's Stephanie McMahon.
Oh, I thought you were going to say James Ellsworth.
No, Steph. Well, that's actually another one. I might give him a one-off, but I endorse it on Chair Shot that we do the Wrestle Rumble thing where you can predict who's coming out, and Rumble's fun. I really wonder. I would not put it past Stephanie that she somehow inserts herself in the match, and then again, if she ends up having
and wins,
if she's in it, she's winning.
No, no. Well, maybe I don't know, but
Triple H was the surprise entrant. He won.
Oh, true.
It's these are the McMahons you're talking about.
Oh,
I think Ronda Rousey, that would be a cool surprise.
Oh yeah.
You have Asuka beat Alexa Bliss and Rousey win the Rumble. That would get a ton of media, and then you got a hot WrestleMania women's title match.
If Asuka's not in the Rumble,
yeah.
If they we assume here is so if the Rumble undercard, meaning not the Rumble matches, is a Universal title match, a WWE Championship match, and then if they do 2 women's title matches, if Asuka is in one of those women's title matches, yes, I will say I think absolutely Ronda Rousey is in the Rumble, advertised or not, and wins it.
Yeah, I think that would be an awesome way to build that.
What did they do in NXT before Asuka was champ? Didn't they have it that she was out? Was she out with injury, and then all the women ganged up on Nia Jax to get her out, or was it the other way around? Like one of them was held out of the Rumble for the #1 contendership. This was back like a year and a half ago on NXT. when Bayley was the champ. And they only had one of them in the match, but they were the target. All the women got her out first, and the other one wasn't medically cleared.
It's probably Nia. That sounds about right.
Yeah. Because you have to make an excuse for it, right? You can't have Asuka be in the Rumble and get they would have to have everyone gang up on her to have.
Well, she could. I mean, she has. I mean, she hasn't lost a match one-on-one. So if it takes 10 people to eliminate her, it's not like that doesn't bury her. But
I feel like they need to protect her and Nia though somewhat to keep building them, because I still think Nia versus Asuka is a money match. They just need to get both of them to that place.
I don't see it on the horizon.
No, and on paper, Glenn, I get what you're saying, because the way Nia has been mostly protected, and obviously Asuka has. I think about the match, like think about the belt to belt. I don't think that'd be a good belt to belt match.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Nia hasn't really had a good belt to belt one-on-one match yet. She's gotten a lot better, but
I liked her match with Bayley, whatever takeover that was at when Bayley beat her. I thought that was good storytelling in that match. They made her seem dominant. They made Bayley's win seem credible. But
since Nia's been on
not on the main
roster, I mean, her best matches have been in the triple threats or the four ways.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. She's in a storyline with Enzo for the foreseeable future. So that's what Nia's up to.
Throw
in. Do we even need to give a final thought on this Raw? Actually, you know what?
It seemed like a placeholder. Like you could miss it and you didn't miss anything.
Credit to this, though. We're all talking more about where things are going based on this Raw. I feel like something's afoot in the WWE.
Well,
we're hitting the hot season now. In 2 weeks is when they start picking it up. So
what are we gonna get? Let's ask this: Roman took off this week? Are we getting how much should I tune in for on Christmas next week?
Oh, John Cena is going to give a very good pep talk about America and the spirit of the holidays. I'm not even kidding.
I don't see what America has to do with Christmas.
It's the WWE, Raj. America has to do with everything.
They usually don't combine Christmas with the Patriot thing. They already did the Patriot thing with tribute to the troops, but we'll see.
John Cena's going to run over Santa.
So it did make it seem like it might be just a special thing. Like he's not necessarily back on Raw. So if he's not, they could always keep that world title program with him and AJ.
Remember, both Raw and SmackDown are in Chicago, which is arguably their hottest and most consistent city. So it's, if CM Punk is dressed as Santa Claus, then.
How long before they chant CM Punk on Raw?
If that happens next week, we're not doing a podcast next Monday. If CM Punk shows up on Raw,
we'll do it. We'll call it.
I will leave my family's house and hop on via Hangouts.
I'll cut off my pinky and
I won't because he blocked me on Twitter, so I'm not doing
well, there you go. You earned that one.
He has us blocked too. He blocked us.
Does he really?
Yeah.
We
used to be friends.
Raj, you're the boss. Can we do one podcast where we all tell our stories of why CM Punk blocked them? Because I have a fun story of why he blocked me.
Go ahead. You want to tell it now, or is it?
Not now. No.
We'll save it.
Marketing. Let's stretch. Let's go on another podcast.
All right, let's do it.
So what else is going on?
He didn't block Wrestling Inc. He blocked me.
So, there you go. So it's not Wrestling Inc. It's you personally, Rob.
Yeah. No, and we were cool back in the day. So.
I'm blocked by three. I'm blocked by 3 people. I'm blocked by CM Punk. I'm blocked by Jim Cornette. I'm blocked by the current Sin Cara, aka Hunico. Those are 3 that blocked me.
For me, Sin Cara has me blocked too, and Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels was almost going to write a column for us after he retired.
Shawn blocked you.
Yeah, no, he hates us. Right
really?
Now. Yeah, he's hated us for a little bit. There's a story with that too. So.
Well, I mean, I can try to get you back in the good graces of that one.
I don't care.
This is a separate. Let the people speak. This is an episode waiting to happen.
Yeah, we'll give the stories behind the blockings. So.
There you go. So what more is going on with this XFL thing, Raj?
So Justin, a lot of people have been asking me about, the Panthers are going to be up for sale. What is the approval process for an owner Like, you can't just buy an NFL team. It's not like there's a price there. You have to be approved by is it the majority of the owners or all the owners? You know,
it's a majority. So,
like, Trump was blocked from buying an NFL team back in the day. So I can't see them selling to Vince McMahon.
No, they won't. Let me put this out. So in my time of covering I'm here in Pittsburgh covering the Steelers. I don't have all the fine prints. I don't want to come off as I'm an expert, but you're right. There's a majority approval. Vince is not buying the Panthers. Vince could afford it, but it would not be a smart move. You know, like it wouldn't. I mean, I know he's from Carolina. That's where he went to school or he grew up, whatever. But it wouldn't happen. And he's not. There is a majority process that happens. So I don't think Vince in the NFL is any serious conversation. The serious conversation is what we all know and what probably most of our listeners know, which is he is doing some self-funding of a subsidiary company. The trademarks are there. WWE PR people are not denying that there's something going on. So it leads us all to believe that something is happening, and obviously it is we could classify it as an opportune timing because for the American fans of NFL, this has been a bad year for PR for them with the mounting concussion stuff, with off the field stuff, domestic violence, etc., the national anthem protest, everything politically. So, something's happening. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it certainly seems, based upon WWE PR not denying it, based upon on record the PR or trademark stuff that we can see, something's happening. I don't know.
Yeah.
You want to talk about, like, NFL's taken a little bit of a hit, and it wasn't just this year, it was last year as well. The ratings are down a little, but they're still a gigantic beast. And it would take a long time to compete with them. Now, what I was saying is, if you did something in the spring, and I don't know if you open it up to other people to invest, and you do these cities that the NFL isn't in, like the cities that lost teams, like St. Louis or, the Oakland's going to be losing the Raiders, San Diego. I don't know. Or you do it in arenas, so you don't have these big empty stadiums. Either way, I think there's no way it could work. But
I don't want to say there's no way it could work because we don't know enough of the information yet. We don't know enough of what we're basing that on.
That's true. That is a good point.
Here's what I would say. I would say if he's looking to self-fund and he has investors or other rich people that are going to get in this, if there's going to be a new football league, another alternative to the NFL, first off, let's remember the XFL had a lot of good things from a presentation standpoint that the NFL stole and used and utilized. Okay, so
like a few camera shots, but not like
so
not like cameras in the cheerleaders' locker room or all the stuff that XFL was selling.
Right. Let's even do that. Here's my suggestion. First off, number one, when the XFL was around the first time, social media wasn't a thing. So if the XFL, or I'll say XFL, but it might be branded as something else. But I'll just say XFL for purposes here. If the XFL comes back, don't put it on cable television. NBC, CBS, ABC, Fox, they're already involved in the NFL, right? Don't try to put it back on cable television. Make the distribution all digital, whether it's WWE Network, whether it's Hulu, whether it's Netflix, whatever, whether it's Facebook Live streaming, use that as the distribution. Next, put the games on a weekday and go head-to-head with the NFL. Nobody wants to watch football from March through the summertime. People that watch football aren't trained that way, and that's what the XFL did the first time. They launched in February. Go head-to-head in football months, meaning when they're taking their kids to practice, when they're watching college, everything else, but just do the games on the weekday. Don't do it on the weekend like the NFL is. do that. I think with the distribution now, with social media, the WWE Network, with the disapproval that there is with the NFL, or at least the second guessing, I'm not saying it's going to be a hit, but I don't think that it's the worst time to try to do something like this. My only other issue would be, and I don't want to get political here, is a lot of people would probably go, okay, Donald Trump obviously has a relationship with Vince and the WWE. He's in the WWE Hall of Fame. Donald Trump has been very vocal against the NFL. The worry would be a very large majority of the nation is, not Donald Trump fans right now. The worry would be, okay, whatever this XFL or football league is would be attached as a Donald Trump thing. And then people would naturally just go against it because of their political divide. But that's all. That's what I think right now. But I think.
Oh boy! All right. So just point by point, real quick. We don't. I mean, I know we're already way over. So you think politically, people will watch C-level football head to head with the NFL in some tab in their browser, as opposed to going like a bar, watching it with their friends, a big screen TV, watching in some, on Facebook on their phone, as opposed to, how it's consumed right now.
Yes, I do. And think about this.
Real quick. So the UFC last week, they streamed it and it was available on television. The streaming portion got, I think it was 1.5% of the viewership of what the TV version got. Amazon Prime, they're not releasing their numbers for the NFL games that they've done, but almost every occurrence of a live sporting event, and actually every major US one, the streaming has been such a small percentage that to cover the cost of doing a league like this, to a percentage of people that would watch on TV, you're doomed for failure.
You need a TV deal of some sort.
You need that's where all the money is. Unless a Facebook is throwing away $1 billion,
which they are,
and hey,
they want to get in video really, really bad. I mean,
if they'll throw $1 billion for a football league, then you might have something.
I agree. It helps to have a TV distribution, and that's not to say there aren't still networks that could distribute it that aren't currently in the NFL game. But I think this could survive early. Well, I don't want to say survive, but I think it could launch. More and more people are cutting the cord in terms of digital distribution. And again, there's never been more dislike and unhappiness with the NFL than there is now. So I would say that I think at this point in time, and then personnel wise, again, not to make this a sports show, we're right now, Colin Kaepernick, a polarizing figure, not used. RG3, somebody who hasn't been used in the league. I think the way the sport of football has gone to where there's a style that you play in college and a style in pro, and there's been a disconnect of guys who haven't lived up to, that are exciting players but don't fit the NFL or professional mold. I think there's just a lot of gaps to be filled. I'm not saying this is going to be like the thing that changes football or overtakes NFL. I'm just saying this might be the one time that if you were ever going to revive the Vince McMahon ideal of doing an alternative for football, this is the time. And there are social media, there's so many other mechanisms right now to work with. It's worthwhile.
Well, so further adding craziness to this, Meltzer yesterday speculates that Vince could sell the WWE to someone like Disney. That if there was ever a time he was going to cash out, now
he said it. He said if he had the right offer, he'd take it.
Yes, and I've actually,
which back in the day, if you remember, when he was at war with WCW, he would say back then he would never sell. Mm-hmm. So he's completely changed his mind on that.
He has, and Glenn, it's funny you brought that up because I didn't know that Meltzer said that, but I've had this conversation many times on my audio podcast, and Mark Madden, former WCW announcer, has been in the studio. We've had this conversation a lot, where I've actually said I could see whenever whether Vince is alive or not alive, I could see WWE selling to a giant media conglomerate, and the only one that I could see fitting that would have the money and the resources to do live entertainment is Disney.
Fox.
I've used Disney as an example of they're in the live event business.
They've got Hulu now.
Right. So That's funny you just say that because, and then to what Raj is saying, like, yeah, I mean, the tone has changed. You know, the XFL was in what, 01? So, I mean, a lot has changed in a decade and a half now of what the game plan is for the company.
ESPN and ABC would probably like to have wrestling programming, you know, put stuff on Hulu streaming. I could see it. And I could see if they had even a partnership distribution with this new XFL, there's some opportunities there if they feel that maybe they're going to lose NFL rights, or maybe they feel NFL rights aren't worth what they're paying for them the next time they come up for negotiation.
So Disney is buying Fox right now. You just got to wonder, like, how much money they have to, you know, spend on something like a WWE purchase.
They would spend 3% of what they spent on Fox on the WWE.
That's true. Well, I mean, I'm guessing it would have to take a couple billion. UFC sold for 4. Who knows, man?
Maybe 5.
It's gonna come to a point to where
WWE's 5 to 10.
I'm just tossing that out there.
I don't think they'd make anywhere close to what UFC got. UFC got an insane amount for their
okay,
deal.
so let's say they got 3. Let's say they got 3.
I would think 2. I would think 2 to 3 they'd probably do it.
No way WWE sells for $4 billion, less than 4. I mean, Mickey Mouse has an endless bank account. We have no idea what could be bought.
You think they'd get over 4 for a sell?
No, WWE less than 4.
Oh yeah, that's what I think. I think 1 to 2, maybe 3. But
so here's my next.
But
question.
a Disney under, so you get, as much as people criticize Vince, man, and we're going off on, this is one of our longer podcasts tonight, but people are pointing out, Jump2 is pointing out that the market cap right now is $2.5 billion at the current share price. You take Vince McMahon out and you have Disney owning it, it's a whole different business then.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm sure they'll bring Triple H on for a little bit. I'm sure, you know, with the intent of keeping him on, but at some point, you know, if the ratings are going down, they're not making their money back. Because look at the UFC, they're really like, they cut a ton of costs once they bought the UFC. You know, just trying to cover the interest that they're paying on the debt that they've had to take to purchase the UFC. So,
well, and that would be an issue, is that if a Disney bought a WWE, which WWE is a pioneer in live event presentation, but even though WWE doesn't like to call themselves wrestling, they're still pro wrestling at the roots of things, and pro wrestling is still at the roots of it. It's a carny experience, and if Disney didn't understand that, or like, I mean, that's what becomes interesting, is trying to think about, and that's again the sort of Mark Mann and I have had these debates, is what would the end game be? Like, would that be good or bad for the business of a conglomerate like a Disney? And furthermore, I try to think optimistically that a Triple H, a Stephanie, even a Shane at that point are going to like protect what has been built by their family. But at the same time, if Disney goes, we're going to write you this real fat check and you're going to do what we tell you to do, how loyal are you to the family business?
Well, I'll tell you though,
just look at WCW with all the ownership changes it went through, right? I mean, theirs had nothing to do with wrestling in charge.
Yeah, but they were forced by the hand of it. WCW never had a wrestling person. Eric Bischoff wasn't a wrestling person; he was a sales guy. Ted Turner wasn't a wrestler.
Yeah, but Vince is probably not going to stay around once it sells.
That's why I'm asking you. But Triple H is a wrestling guy. Okay?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm asking you is.
But if they're not seeing positive results under Triple H, if they're not seeing an increase in TV rights,
and then it's time for Vince Russo to make his last stand. One more run running Disney WWE.
This is where the guys like George Barrios and the other business people come into play, is that not to sound morbid here, but when Vince is out of the picture, Triple H is not a lifelong business guy. You know, I mean, Stephanie and Shane have learned. Well, Shane more than anybody is.
But Shane has the least to do behind the scenes, if anything.
He does right now, but I think that's because him and Vince. I think I could see Shane being more involved. But the thing is, for the outside perspective, the people like George Barrios, the people that are key right now, that are business people, have to then take more of a role and make the outside world go, okay, this company is still ran by business people. Triple H is the carny. He's running the carny stuff.
Hey, and Disney on Ice isn't highfalutin Broadway theater. Disney on Ice is like a touring sweatshop of ice skaters in costumes.
It's a very different fan base you're seeing at Disney on Ice than at a wrestling.
Behind the scenes, though, I'm saying the way they run that production, don't think that professional wrestling is a big step down from that.
No, it's not necessarily that. I mean, we'll probably have to table this discussion because we've gone way late. There's a couple things I have to mention real quick. WWE, we'll get to finishing this topic up, but real quick, WWE has confirmed that the winner of the Women's Royal Rumble gets a championship match at WrestleMania 34. So that's one. Second, WWE is reporting that Dean Ambrose was injured. That he was taken to a nearby medical facility for x-rays and evaluation, and more details on his condition should be available tomorrow. Usually they don't post fake injury updates. I think they have before. It's not crossing my mind. The last
weird
time
that they would have shot that backstage segment after, though.
With during the commercial, like, hey, let's find a way to write him off real quick.
Like, yeah, this will be good.
I will say when the injury, the sell of the injury happened, Rollins dove to the outside, hit everybody, and I rewinded on my DVR a couple times to watch it. Maybe he was just a really good actor. Ambrose did have a legit reaction of,
oh yeah,
holy hell, I just heard.
Yeah, I mean, like we're all saying when we saw it, it looked legit because
I just refuse to believe
what they script. It's not usually what they script for those, and the fact that the ending then just came so awkwardly, like just Rollins ran in and that was it.
It was kind of weird.
So it looks like he has had problems with that arm. So Natalie was pointing out that he had been nursing an injury. So we'll see. So
I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing that Roman Torres in our chat wrote they should make the wrestlers wrestle on ice with ice skates. Just that got me for a second there. One thing I have to call out before we wrap here, props to the World Wildlife Fund tonight. Did you guys see those commercials advertising the WWF on WWE programming? Yeah. Kudos.
Yeah, really rubbing it in. Pizza insurance was back.
Pizza insurance is back, baby. I'm going to get me a pizza and drop it just on principle. Make them replace it.
Roman Reigns is advertised for next week's Raw. He's had this weekend off all along, so it's nothing there. Just for people asking in the chat.
Hey, you know what, though? For our last Monday Night Raw recap of the year, because we're not going to work on Christmas in recapping the show, but we will be here this Wednesday and next Wednesday. I have to say, for a last Raw recap of the year, it's a shame Matt Morgan couldn't make it tonight, but what an exciting time in the business that for kind of a meh Raw, we can have so much of a conversation about where things are going and where things are at and getting the wheels turning. I know people that listen to this podcast sometimes say, oh, you guys just bag on WWE and wrestling all the time. I think, it is an exciting time. We're not always happy with the way things are going.
I don't bag on WWE. I'm the WWE kiss ass.
He is.
You're just angling for that Rosenberg,
Absolutely. I tell Sam and Rosenberg they better watch out. I'm kissing ass hard.
You're gonna be on that pre-show, man, with Otunga, making witty banter with Otunga.
If I have to do a pre-show with Otunga, I'll be fired in the first.
That's a good point, David.
So I never want to work for WWE, so you can get I'm completely honest with everything else.
I'm the kiss ass. Everything I do is to step up with Triple H. That's if you weren't aware,
the pedigree would hurt you in real life.
Yeah, I want 2 weeks in creative. I want the shortest run in creative ever, where I just go and give them a piece of my mind and get fired.
Yeah.
That's my end game. Well, folks, we'll be back here Wednesday, 12 noon Eastern. Talk about SmackDown Live, the fallout from Clash of Champions. What is going to happen now that Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are staying in the WWE? Daniel Bryan, did he turn? We'll discuss it all on Wednesday and what happens with SmackDown. Justin LaBar, what do you want to plug before we finish things up here?
At Justin LaBar on Twitter. I'm active 24/7. Of course, Chairshot Reality videos. You can see them on the Wrestling Inc. YouTube page. I have my own audio podcast, Wrestling Reality, on iTunes, Spotify, iHeart, all the other fun platforms. That's that.
Thanks to all the kind words with the guys in the chat room. We really appreciate it. It's been an amazing year. We couldn't do this without you guys. So Thanks as always.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier. Just wrestler of the year with that explanation. I think Braun Strowman probably won the year for me.
Yeah.
Year start to year end.
If you went just on in ring, it's Okada. But if I went all around, I'd almost go. Oh, yikes! You know, AJ's had some underwhelming matches on pay-per-view this year.
Yeah.
I'd almost. I'm gonna get killed for this, but I'd almost say Roman. All his pay-per-view matches have been great. His worst one was probably Undertaker at Mania, which was still a main event at Mania. Yeah, and he pulled out great matches with Braun. The awesome match at SummerSlam. So yeah.
So look at that. Raj just gave the speech. Roman, you won my respect. You're the real wrestler of the year, and you raised his hand in victory.
You're already on the Wrestling Inc. YouTube channel. Go over, find the Chair Shot Reality WWE Superstar of 2017, and I tell you why it is Braun, and I tell you why all you AJ Styles fans can suck it.
I love AJ. I thought he was wrestler of the year last year, but I think I didn't think he had enough good pay-per-view matches this year. He was kind of pushed aside from the majority of the year. So,
and that's the problem with the year is these things go. It's very tough to have 12 strong months in the WWE.
Yeah. Braun Strowman had 12 strong months.
Braun always
so
looks
if you
strong.
take out Okada, Kenny Omega, with Cody, I think in ROH, but then it comes down to Brock, Roman, and Braun as far as effectiveness, real difference making and stuff. So, anyway.
Yep. Wednesday, 12 noon Eastern, folks. We'll see you back here. Until next time, I'm Glenn Rubenstein. Take care.